What's going on, guys? Jonathan Dietz here, and what I want to talk about today is the new Chatterbait Evo that's come out by Z-Man. It actually won Best in Show at ICAST this year for freshwater hard baits, and so they've added a couple modifications to your favorite jackhammer that everybody loves and everybody throws because of how many fish it catches. And so some of the things that they've changed, and one of the first things that I want to talk about is the blade. They actually thin the diameter of the blade just a hair to add an epoxy resin to the blade to make it the same thickness, but to avoid the paint chipping on your blade, because if you've thrown a jackhammer, you know the paint chips on it. You catch 10 fish on it and your blade is silver instead of green pumpkin when you started with it. So now you don't have that problem with that epoxy coating on there. They've also updated the snap ring to make sure that it doesn't ever come unclipped, because occasionally on a jackhammer that clip would come undone and then you end up throwing the bulk of the bait off, or it ends up flexing out when you hook a fish. So now you don't have to worry about that either. They've also changed the head design a little bit. They've recessed the eyes back into the head to make sure that those don't chip and those stay in place to give you that lifelike representation of whatever it happens to be imitating at that time. They've also changed the shape of the head a little bit. And so you can see they've added some of these little undercuts right here. What that does is it actually acts like a propeller or a keel that makes that bait dive a little bit deeper. So that way you can fish a 1/2 ounce bait just a hair deeper, because you know we've always been in those situations where you're trying to fight to get your bait a little bit deeper. So now you can run the same line size that you would normally run, your 15, your 20, and get a little bit better dive depth out of that bait. They have the same great hook in here, but they've actually upgraded it to one size bigger. So that way you get a little bit bigger hook size on there. Still the same hook though, because that jackhammer hook that we all know and love, you know, we can't get rid of that. And one thing they've done to help the consumer who likes to put non-Z-Man trailers on here is they've added a weight system in the belly right here to help keel the bait a little bit, to keep it from rolling over. But they've taken one of the hook hangers off of here and just left one hook hanger on here instead of the two that a jackhammer has, because if you've ever tried to take a trailer off of a jackhammer, you know it rips them pretty well if it's not a Laztec. And so now they've added this weight in here, because if you want to keep it on there, you can add a dab of super glue and it'll make sure your trailer never comes off. But now if you do want to change trailers, that gives you the opportunity to take one off and put a new one on without completely destroying your other trailer a little bit. And so they've also changed the price point on this. Probably the biggest selling point on this is a jackhammer runs, I think, $15.99. This is now $9.99. So you can get an upgraded jackhammer for a cheaper price and just be able to purchase a whole lot more of those to make it a little bit more efficient on the buyer. Some of my favorite gear that I like to throw a chatterbait on is I usually run 15-pound P-Line Tactical Fluorocarbon, and then I like a 7.4 Invoker Pro medium heavy, and they call it a regular action, which is basically like a moderate or cranking action. This just gives those fish the ability to really eat the bait. It loads the rod up a little bit, and then I pair that with an ARC G5 7 1-to-1 gear ratio reel. I don't like to overkill it with an 8 1-to-1 because I feel like I'm moving the bait too fast, and so that 7 1-to-1 just gives me the ability to move the bait as fast as I need to and also catch up to those fish but not overwork the bait.